Hello friends, this is Sanjay. In today's video, we will be covering the CTET Paper 1 EVS 2021 Official Exemplar Questions. Now, exemplar questions means example questions. So this was not the complete model question paper, but just a small set of 8 questions that were officially published to give students an idea as to what kind of questions they could expect in the upcoming examination. In this video, I have answered and explained all the questions in English. If you prefer Hindi explanations, then please do watch a separate video on our channel where I have covered the same questions in Hindi as well. So let's get started. With respect to the location of Delhi, in which directions are Gandhinagar, the capital of Gujarat, and Patna, the capital of Bihar, located respectively? Now, this is a very frequently asked question, and there are a couple of things that you need to remember here. One is you should be familiar with the directions and the cardinal directions. And you should also be thoroughly familiar with the map of India, the various states and the various state capitals. Now, in this question, we are first asked to identify where is Delhi. So it's very easy. Delhi is here. And then we have to identify where is Gandhinagar, which is the capital of Gujarat. So since Gujarat is on the western side of India, we know that the capital of Gujarat will be somewhere here. And Patna is the capital of Bihar. Now Bihar is on the eastern side of India, so the capital of Bihar, that is Patna, will be somewhere here. Now if we draw arrows from Delhi towards both of these places, we see that Gandhinagar is towards the southwest part or the southwest direction from Delhi, and Patna will be towards the southeast direction from Delhi. Therefore, the answer should have southwest and southeast. So, southwest and southeast is the second answer choice. So, this is the correct answer. What should be avoided in anecdotal records? Now, whenever you see the words anecdotal records, just remember this simple formula. Anecdotal records should only have facts and data. Anecdotal records should not have any judgments or opinions. Now, when we look at the answer choices, the first one says identifying mainly problematic situations. Now, identifying problematic situations is nothing but a judgment or an opinion, because what you think is problematic might not actually be problematic in somebody else's opinion. Therefore, this should not be there in anecdotal records. Identifying strengths and weaknesses. This is a fact, and this should be there in anecdotal records, because if you are saying that a child is good in maths or a child is good in sports, that is a fact. Therefore, this should be there. Next, making statements of judgment. As I have clearly mentioned, there should not be any judgments in anecdotal records. Therefore, this should not be there. And identifying areas of interest and relationships. Now, areas of interest and relationships are facts, right? Therefore, this should be there because these are facts. Now, since B and D should be there in anecdotal records and A and C should not be there, we have been asked to identify what should be avoided. Therefore, avoid A and C in anecdotal records. Certain regions have houses smeared with cow dung. Why do people in these regions cover the floors and walls of their huts with cow dung and mud? Now, if you go to the rural parts of India, in many villages, you'll see that the floors of the houses and the walls of the houses are actually smeared or covered with cow dung. Now, the question is asking us, why do they do this? Now, the answer here is that cow dung is actually water resistant when it becomes dry, and it also works as an insulator. That is, it keeps the house at a constant temperature. In winter, it keeps it warm, and in summer, it keeps it cold. Therefore, because cow dung and mud are water resistant and act as an insulator, they are used in the flooring and walls of various houses in different villages. Therefore, this is the correct answer. X is the capital city of a state in India. If you travel north from X and cross 4 interstate borders, you get to Y, which is the capital city of another Indian state. If Chandigarh is located to the northwest of Y, identify X and Y. Now, to answer questions like this, you need to be thoroughly familiar with the map of India, the various states and their capitals, and you should also jot down these cardinal directions and intermediate directions somewhere so that you don't get confused. Now, the first concrete piece of information that is given here is that if Chandigarh is located northwest of Y, therefore this place Y should be southeast of Chandigarh, because Chandigarh is northwest of Y. Now, if we look at the options for Y, one is Jaipur. Jaipur will be somewhere in Rajasthan, and Chandigarh is here. Therefore, Chandigarh is not northwest of Jaipur. Therefore, this cannot be the answer choice. And Bhopal is in Madhya Pradesh, and Bhopal will be towards the southern side of Chandigarh. Therefore, this also cannot be an answer choice. So that leaves us with Lucknow, which is in Uttar Pradesh, and Dehradun, which is in Uttarakhand. Therefore, the answer choices can be either Dehradun or Lucknow. Now, when we look at the possible options for X is first Chennai. Chennai will be in Tamil Nadu, which will be here. Now, from Chennai to Lucknow, if you look at it, there will be 1, 2, 3. By crossing just 3 state borders, you can reach Lucknow. Therefore, this cannot be the answer choice. Therefore, we are just left with one option, that is X is Hyderabad and Y is Dehradun. So let us see if this can be correct. Now, Hyderabad is in Telangana, which will be somewhere here. Now, if we cross 1, 2, 3 and 4 borders, we will reach Dehradun. Therefore, this is the correct answer, because Dehradun is towards the southeast of Chandigarh, and Dehradun can be reached by crossing 4 state borders from Hyderabad. Therefore, this has to be the correct answer. A postal address has a 6-digit postal index number or PIN code. The first 2 digits represent the region and subregion to which the address belongs to. What do the first 3 digits represent? Now, this is a question that has appeared in quite a few previous question papers, and you have to remember that in a 6-digit PIN code that we use in our addresses, the first digit represents the zone. For example, Andhra, Telangana and Karnataka are in zone 5, whereas Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra are in zone 4. So, similarly, various states are grouped into different zones. So, the first digit tells us which zone the address belongs to, and the second digit mentions which subzone the address belongs to, and the third number represents the sorting district, and the last 3 digits represent the post office, the specific post office to which this address belongs to. Therefore, this question is asking us, what do the first 3 digits represent? So, the first 3 digits together represent the sorting district, because first we identify the zone, then the subzone, and within that subzone, which sorting district this particular address belongs to. Therefore, the answer here is sorting district. Which of the following is the least appropriate pedagogical resource to develop a sense of historical analysis of events from our past? Now, when we look at the answer choices, the last one is a literary text from the Gupta Empire. By reading books or other written material from the Gupta Empire, you get to understand what was happening in that time, what was the political scenario, the cultural scenario. Therefore, you get quite a bit of information which will help you understand the history of the Gupta Empire. Therefore, this is a useful and appropriate pedagogical resource. Next, a political figure in history. By reading about Vikramaditya or by hearing about Vikramaditya, you get to understand how he ruled his kingdom as a king, how he was dealing with his enemies, what was the politics at that time. Therefore, this also is a good pedagogical resource. Next, the ancient city in ruins, that is Vijaynagar. Now, when you go and visit the historical place of Vijaynagar, you get to understand what was the architecture of that time like, and how people were living, how the different classes of people were living in the city. Therefore, it also helps you understand the history of Vijaynagar. Therefore, this also is a good and appropriate pedagogical resource. Now, the first option says a physical map of ancient Magadh. Now, pay attention to the fact that it is referring to a physical map. Now, maps are of 2 types. There are physical maps and there are political maps. Now, a physical map is like a satellite photo. It just shows you where there is a forest, where there is a mountain, where there is a lake. It does not show you any borders or it does not show you any kingdoms. Therefore, a physical map is quite useless when it comes to understanding history or politics or civics. Therefore, a physical map of ancient Magadh is the least appropriate pedagogical resource. Whereas, a political map of ancient Magadh would help us understand, okay, that this was the kingdom of Magadh and the neighboring kingdom was a different kingdom and this kingdom belonged to another king, and how these different kingdoms were interacting with each other, how they were having wars and what were the borders of these kingdoms like. Therefore, a political map would be useful in understanding the history of that particular kingdom, but a physical map is quite useless. Therefore, the answer here is a physical map of ancient Magadh, which is the least appropriate pedagogical resource. This is a fairly long question, but you just have to focus on this part where it says context dependency. Now, context dependency is an example of a thinking pattern that leads to students' misconceptions because they use a concept that works in one context wrongly in another context. Now, let me give you a small example of what exactly is this context dependency. Now, if there is a fire, then the normal thought is that we will put water on it to extinguish it, right? Now, if it is a wood fire, if you put water on it, it will get extinguished. Therefore, there is a context that if there is a fire, then you will put water on it to extinguish it. But this context which works in one situation, or this concept which works in one situation, which is a wood fire, will not work if the fire is actually caused by a petroleum product like petrol, diesel or kerosene or any other liquid. Because when you put water on a petrol fire, then the fire actually increases. Therefore, the normal context dependency is where if you think that water works in one situation, it will work in all situations. Now, that is a context dependency, and that can be wrong as well. Now, the question is asking us which of the following is most likely to be an example of misconception due to context dependency. Now, when we look at the answer choices, the first one says cities are dirty because they have slums. This might be true to a certain extent, because if there are slums, then slums might not have good facilities to drain all the wastewater. They might not have good places or suitable places for the garbage to be dumped. Therefore, the existence of slums might actually lead to a certain level of accumulation of wastewater and garbage in some areas. Therefore, cities are dirty because they have slums might be true to a certain extent. And the next one says villagers move to cities because cities have electricity. This might also be true to a certain extent, because if people are living in a small village somewhere deep in the jungle where they don't have electricity, it also means that they don't have other facilities, and they might prefer moving to the city because city has electricity and all the other resources and facilities that are available in cities. Therefore, this can also be partially true. And the third statement says cities need more transport because they have more people. Absolutely. If you look at it, a growing city as such keeps to need adding more transport facilities. A city which has city buses will build a metro because more people are coming into the city. Therefore, city needs more transport because they have more people is also contextually correct. Now, the last one says farmers are unemployed because there are no factories in villages. Now, this is incorrect, because the context here is that if there are factories, then there will be employment. So, because there are no factories in villages, the farmers are unemployed. But what we need to realize here is that farmers are actually employed in other activities like farming. Therefore, it is not necessary that farmers are unemployed just because there are no factories in villages. Farmers can be doing other things. They can be farming, they can be doing forestry. So, they can be employed in other activities. Therefore, this statement which says that farmers are unemployed because there are no factories in villages is a contextually incorrect sentence, and this is the answer here. Dr. Sharma undertook an experiment where she made one group of students do breathing exercises for 10 minutes and another group was not given any special treatment. Next, both the groups were given a set of 10 problems to solve. She compared how quickly the two groups solved the set of problems. What was the dependent variable in this experiment? Now, to answer this question, let me first explain what is this dependent variable all about. By understanding that, you will be able to answer any such questions if they appear in the exam. Now, if the price of petrol is a variable because it keeps changing time to time, right? So how does the price of petrol change? The price of petrol changes because the price of crude oil keeps changing, or the taxes that are levied by the government keep changing. Therefore, the price of the crude oil and the taxes are the reasons or are variables, and the price of petrol is a dependent variable because it changes if the other variables keep changing. Now let's represent this problem that has been mentioned here in the form of an equation. Now what Dr. Sharma has done is she has given breathing exercises to a set of students. Now the breathing exercise is a variable because it can be either yes or no. So it is a binary variable. And there is a set of 10 problems that they have to solve after either they have finished the breathing exercises or without the breathing exercises. Now this 10 problems is a constant because that number is not changing for either of these groups. The group which has done the exercise will also do 10 problems, and the group which has not done the exercises also will do 10 problems. Therefore, this is a constant. And then the dependent variable is the time taken, because this time taken may change depending on whether the students have done the breathing exercise or not done the breathing exercise. Therefore, the dependent variable here is the time taken. Now, the time it took to complete the set of problems is the dependent variable in this experiment. And with that, we have solved the 8 EVS questions that were given in the exemplar set for December 2021. If you have any questions or comments, you can post them below. And please do like this video and subscribe to our channel. And if your friends are preparing for the same exam, then you can please share this video with them as well. So that's it for now, and I will see you shortly in the next video. Till then, stay safe and take care.